Think about the moments in your life where you felt you were on the edge of something great. It could be a job opportunity, a new project, or even a meaningful relationship. You could see the potential. You knew it was within reach, but somehow something stopped you. That invisible force, the hesitation, the internal resistance, that is what we call self-sabotage. It's as if you're standing in front of a door that leads to everything you've ever wanted, yet your hand freezes on the handle. Self-sabotage is a term we often throw around when we feel we're holding ourselves back, but few of us truly understand why it happens. It's easy to assume it's just a matter of discipline or willpower, but the reality is far more complex. According to Carl Jung, self-sabotage is deeply rooted in our unconscious mind, a realm of hidden thoughts, emotions, and desires that we are often unaware of, but which shape much of our behavior. Jung's work provides us with profound insights into this phenomenon, offering a path to not only understand it, but to overcome it. So, what exactly is the unconscious mind? To put it simply, the unconscious is everything we are not aware of at a given moment. It's a vast, hidden part of our psyche that stores repressed memories, unacknowledged desires, unresolved emotions, and patterns we've developed over the course of our lives. According to Jung, much of what drives our behavior stems from this unconscious mind, even though we may not realize it. It's like an iceberg. The conscious mind is just the tip, while the unconscious lies beneath the surface, guiding our actions in ways we often cannot see. Now let's dig deeper into why this matters. Self-sabotage happens when there is a conflict between our conscious goals and our unconscious fears or unresolved issues. For example, you might consciously want to succeed in your career, but deep down there may be a fear of failure, or even a fear of success, rooted in past experiences. These unconscious fears can manifest as procrastination, perfectionism, or other self-sabotaging behaviors, effectively keeping you from achieving what you consciously desire. In Jungian terms, these hidden fears and desires are part of what he called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. The shadow is an essential concept in Jung's work, representing the dark, hidden aspects of our personality. It includes everything we've repressed, rejected, or disowned because we consider it unacceptable or threatening to our self-image. This could be anything from fear, anger, and jealousy to deeper psychological wounds or traumas. The key point here is that the shadow is not inherently evil or bad. It is simply the parts of ourselves that we do not want to face. But here's where it gets interesting. The more we try to ignore or repress these aspects of ourselves, the more power they have over us. Jung argued that what we resist persists. In other words, when we push parts of ourselves into the unconscious, they don't disappear. Instead, they influence our behavior from the shadows, often in ways that undermine our conscious intentions. This is one of the primary ways self-sabotage operates. We think we're in control, but the unconscious mind is running the show. Let me ask you this. Have you ever found yourself repeating the same patterns, even when you know they're not serving you? Maybe you've set big goals for yourself, but every time you get close to achieving them, something seems to get in the way. You procrastinate, doubt yourself, or find reasons to quit before you even start. These patterns are not random. They are signals that something deeper is at play, a conflict between your conscious desires and the unconscious forces within you. Jung believed that the path to overcoming self-sabotage lies in what he called individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of ourselves. This means acknowledging the shadow, facing the fears and desires we've buried, and bringing them into the light of awareness. As Jung famously said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
This is the art of the journey to overcoming self-sabotage.
Recognizing and accepting the parts of ourselves that we've tried to hide. But how do we begin this process?
How do we confront the shadow and integrate it into our conscious lives?
It starts with awareness. The first step to overcoming self-sabotage is to become aware of the patterns in your life, the repeated behaviors, thoughts, and emotions that keep you stuck. This requires honest self-reflection and a willingness to look at the parts of yourself that you might rather ignore. It's not easy, but it's necessary if you want to break free from the cycle of self-sabotage. As we continue this exploration, we'll delve deeper into Jung's teachings on how to bring the unconscious into the conscious, and how this process can transform your life. We'll examine the tools and techniques Jung proposed for facing the shadow, and how you can apply them to your own journey of self-discovery and growth. For now, think about this. What are the patterns of behavior in your life that seem to repeat, even when you consciously try to change them?
Where do you feel like you're holding yourself back?
Take a moment to reflect on these questions, and keep them in mind as we move forward. There is more to uncover, and as we explore these deeper layers of the psyche, you'll begin to see that the key to overcoming self-sabotage lies not in fighting against yourself, but in understanding and integrating the hidden parts of your mind. In the next section, we'll explore how self-sabotage is formed in the unconscious mind, and how you can begin the process of reclaiming control over your life. Stay with me because the insights that follow might just change the way you see yourself and the world forever.
Trattino basso 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 tra.
Now that we've touched on the unconscious mind and the shadow, let's dive deeper into how self-sabotage takes root. It's not enough to simply understand that it exists. We need to grasp how it forms and why it has such a powerful hold on us. According to Jung, self-sabotage is often the result of unresolved conflicts within the psyche. Conflicts between what we consciously desire and what our unconscious believes is possible, safe, or acceptable. Think of it this way. Throughout our lives, we've all experienced moments of pain, rejection, or failure. These experiences leave emotional imprints on us, particularly when we are young. We learn, consciously or unconsciously, to avoid situations that might cause similar pain in the future. For example, if you were criticized as a child for trying something new, you might grow up fearing failure and, as a result, avoid taking risks. These early experiences shape the unconscious mind and contribute to the formation of self-sabotaging behaviors. But here's the paradox. While these behaviors might protect us from immediate emotional discomfort, they also keep us from reaching our full potential. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or even the fear of success can lead us to limit ourselves in ways we aren't even aware of. Over time, these unconscious fears become so ingrained that we accept them as part of who we are. This is why self-sabotage can feel so frustrating. It's like you're at war with yourself, wanting to move forward, but feeling held back by invisible forces. Jung's work sheds light on this internal struggle. He believed that these fears and limiting beliefs are often rooted in what he called complexes, clusters of emotionally charged memories, thoughts, and feelings that reside in the unconscious mind. A complex forms when we experience a situation that triggers strong emotions, but we aren't able to process or resolve those emotions at the time. Instead, the emotions get repressed into the unconscious, where they remain active, influencing our thoughts, actions, and perceptions without us even realizing it. For instance, imagine someone who has a failure complex. Perhaps they grew up in an environment where they were constantly compared to others or told that they weren't good enough. Over time, this experience created a complex around the fear of failure. Even though they might consciously want to succeed, their unconscious mind is still operating from the belief that failure is inevitable or that success will only lead to disappointment. As a result, they might self-sabotage by procrastinating, avoiding challenges, or giving up too easily. The complex is like a knot in the psyche, and until it is untangled, it will continue to influence behavior in ways that perpetuate self-sabotage. Jung believed that the key to overcoming these complexes is awareness. By bringing the complex into consciousness, we can begin to understand its origins and how it affects us. This is not always an easy process. Complexes often evoke strong emotions because they are tied to unresolved pain or trauma. But confronting these emotions is the first step toward healing and breaking free from their hold. So, how can you begin to identify and unravel the complexes that contribute to self-sabotage? Complexes are often triggered by specific situations or people that remind us, consciously or unconsciously, of past experiences. For example, if you find yourself feeling unusually anxious or defensive in certain situations, that's a clue that a complex might be at play. Take note of when these emotional reactions occur, and ask yourself, what does this remind me of? When have I felt this way before? This process of self-reflection is crucial in bringing unconscious patterns to the surface. Jung believed that the more we become aware of our complexes and the emotions they trigger, the less power they have over us. As he put it, we cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. By acknowledging and accepting the parts of ourselves that we've been avoiding, we can begin the process of integration, the process of becoming whole. Integration is at the heart of Jung's concept of individuation. It involves reconciling the conscious and unconscious parts of the psyche so that we are no longer divided against ourselves. This doesn't mean eliminating the shadow or erasing the complex. Instead, it means learning to work with these parts of ourselves in a way that empowers us rather than limits us. By integrating the shadow and resolving our complexes, we can stop self-sabotaging and start moving toward our true potential. But how do we actually do this? How do we begin the process of integration and individuation? One powerful tool Jung recommended was active imagination, a technique where we engage directly with the unconscious mind through dialogue, imagery, or creative expression. In active imagination, we allow the unconscious to speak to us, whether through dreams, visions, or spontaneous thoughts. By engaging with these images and symbols, we can gain insight into the deeper parts of ourselves and start to integrate them into our conscious awareness. Another technique Jung emphasized was dream analysis. He believed that dreams are a window into the unconscious, offering valuable clues about our inner conflicts and unresolved issues. By paying attention to our dreams and reflecting on their symbolic meaning, we can gain a deeper understanding of the unconscious forces driving our behavior. Of course, this process requires patience and self-compassion. Confronting the unconscious is not always comfortable, and it can be tempting to revert to old habits of avoidance or repression. But remember, self-sabotage is not a permanent state. It is simply a reflection of unresolved conflict, and once that conflict is brought to light, we have the power to change it. In the next section, we'll explore how to apply these insights practically in your life. We'll look at specific strategies for breaking the cycle of self-sabotage and fostering personal growth. By the end of this journey, you'll have a deeper understanding of how the unconscious mind works and, more importantly, how you can harness its power to create the life you truly want. So stay with me. There's more to uncover, and what's coming next might just transform the way you approach your life and your deepest challenges. The answers you've been seeking are within you. It's just a matter of bringing them into the light.
Underscore.
As we continue this journey of understanding self-sabotage, let's now turn our attention to the practical side of things. You've begun to explore the deeper aspects of the unconscious mind and how it influences your behavior, often without your awareness. But awareness, while essential, is just the first step. The question now becomes, how do we translate that awareness into action? How do we break the patterns of self-sabotage and start moving toward a life that is truly aligned with our potential? Carl Jung's teachings offer not only deep psychological insights but also practical guidance on how to navigate this process of transformation. One of the core principles he emphasized is that personal growth and overcoming self-sabotage require us to face the discomfort of inner work. It's not enough to simply recognize that the unconscious is influencing us. We must actively engage with it, confront our fears, and take deliberate steps to change our behavior. But before we go any further, let's take a moment to reflect on your own life. Where do you see self-sabotage showing up? Are there specific areas, relationships, career, personal goals, where you feel stuck or where you consistently hold yourself back? Identifying these areas is key because self-sabotage rarely operates in isolation. It often manifests in specific patterns that repeat across different areas of life, stemming from unresolved conflicts in the unconscious mind. One powerful way to begin dismantling these patterns is through self-reflection. Jung believed that self-knowledge is the cornerstone of personal growth, and that true transformation begins with an honest examination of oneself. But self-reflection is more than just thinking about your actions or motivations. It requires a deeper dive into your emotions, fears, and desires. It's about asking yourself the tough questions. What am I avoiding? What am I afraid of? What parts of myself have I been unwilling to face? This kind of self-inquiry can be uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly liberating. When you start to uncover the unconscious fears and beliefs that have been driving your self-sabotage, you gain the power to change them. For example, you might discover that your fear of failure is not really about failure itself, but about the shame or rejection you associate with it. Or you might realize that your procrastination is not just laziness, but a way of protecting yourself from the discomfort of stepping outside your comfort zone. Once these underlying fears and beliefs are brought into consciousness, they lose much of their power over you. But how do we confront these fears in a meaningful way? One of the most effective strategies Jung proposed was to face the shadow directly. This means acknowledging the parts of yourself that you've repressed or rejected, the parts that you might be ashamed of or afraid to admit. As we discussed earlier, the shadow is not inherently negative. It simply represents the aspects of yourself that you've disowned. By bringing these aspects into the light of awareness, you can integrate them into your whole self, rather than letting them control you from the unconscious. Facing the shadow requires courage and honesty. It means being willing to look at your imperfections, your insecurities, and your fears without judgment. It's about recognizing that these parts of you are not weaknesses but rather opportunities for growth. Jung believed that the process of individuation, the integration of the conscious and unconscious parts of the self, is the path to wholeness. When you embrace the shadow, you reclaim the power that was lost in repression, and you begin to move beyond self-sabotage. One practical way to engage with the shadow is through journaling. Take some time each day to write about your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, especially in moments where you feel yourself resisting or sabotaging your own efforts. Write without censoring yourself, allowing whatever comes up to flow onto the page. This practice can help you uncover unconscious patterns and beliefs that are driving your behavior. It also creates a safe space for you to explore the parts of yourself that you might otherwise avoid. Another tool Jung recommended for working with the unconscious is dream analysis. Dreams, he believed, are the royal road to the unconscious, offering a direct glimpse into the deeper parts of the psyche. By paying attention to your dreams and reflecting on their symbolic meaning, you can gain valuable insights into the conflicts and desires that are operating beneath the surface. For example, recurring dreams or symbols might point to unresolved issues or fears that are contributing to your self-sabotage. By exploring these dreams, you can begin to unravel the unconscious patterns that are holding you back. But let's not forget that this journey is not just about introspection. Action is crucial to break the cycle of self-sabotage. You need to take concrete steps to challenge the patterns you've uncovered. This might mean setting small, achievable goals that push you out of your comfort zone, or it might mean confronting a specific fear head-on. The key is to start taking action, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Remember, self-sabotage thrives on avoidance and inaction. The more you face your fears and take deliberate steps forward, the weaker the hold of self-sabotage becomes. One powerful strategy for overcoming self-sabotage is to create new habits that support your goals. Habits are the building blocks of behavior, and by consciously creating habits that align with your intentions, you can begin to rewire your brain and break free from old, destructive patterns. For example, if procrastination is a form of self-sabotage you struggle with, you might create a habit of working for just 10 minutes on a task before taking a break. This small, manageable step can help you overcome the initial resistance and build momentum toward your goals. It's also important to cultivate self-compassion throughout this process. Overcoming self-sabotage is not about punishing yourself for your mistakes or failures. It's about understanding why those behaviors exist and treating yourself with kindness as you work through them. Jung believed that self-acceptance is a crucial part of individuation. When you can accept yourself, including your flaws and imperfections, you free yourself from the need to sabotage your own efforts out of fear or shame. As we move into the final section, we'll explore how these concepts come together in the process of individuation, and how you can use Jung's insights to not only overcome self-sabotage but to create a life that is in alignment with your true self. We'll also look at the deeper spiritual implications of Jung's work, and how embracing your shadow can lead to a profound sense of wholeness and fulfillment. Stay with me, because the journey isn't over yet. The final piece of the puzzle will reveal how all of this work, the awareness, the action, the integration, leads to lasting transformation. You've come this far, and what comes next will tie everything together in a way that might just change how you see yourself, your potential, and your place in the world. As we reach the final part of this exploration into Carl Jung's ideas on overcoming self-sabotage, we must turn our attention to the broader picture, the culmination of the inner work we've discussed. Jung's concept of individuation, which we've touched upon earlier, represents the ultimate goal of psychological development. It's the process by which an individual becomes whole, integrating both conscious and unconscious aspects of the self so they are no longer fragmented or at odds with themselves. Self-sabotage, at its core, is a sign of inner division. There are conflicting desires, fears, and beliefs operating within you, and these conflicts manifest as behaviors that undermine your progress. But individuation offers a path to resolution. It's the journey of reconciling these conflicts, embracing all parts of yourself, even the parts you've rejected or repressed, and moving toward a state of wholeness. Jung believed that individuation is not just a personal journey but a spiritual one. It's about finding deeper meaning and purpose in life by aligning with your true self. And while the process of individuation can be challenging, it often requires confronting painful truths and breaking free from societal expectations. It is ultimately liberating. By becoming more aware of who you truly are, you gain the power to live authentically, free from the unconscious patterns of self-sabotage. But what does this look like in practice? How do you know when you are moving toward individuation, and how can you ensure that the work you're doing is leading you toward lasting change? Jung offered several key principles that can guide you on this journey. And as we explore them, it's important to remember that individuation is not a one-time event but a lifelong process. Each step you take toward greater self-awareness and integration is a step toward a more fulfilled and authentic life. One of the most powerful principles Jung emphasized is the idea of holding the tension of opposites. This refers to the ability to hold two seemingly contradictory truths at once without rushing to resolve the tension between them. For example, you might have a deep desire for success but also a fear of the responsibilities that come with it. Or you might want to be in a loving relationship but fear vulnerability. Rather than choosing one side or the other, Jung encouraged individuals to hold the tension between these opposing forces and allow a third, deeper resolution to emerge. This process often leads to new insights, creative solutions, or personal breakthroughs that wouldn't have been possible if you had simply chosen one side and ignored the other. This concept of holding the tension is crucial in overcoming self-sabotage, because self-sabotaging behaviors often arise from an inability to reconcile opposing desires. You might consciously want to move forward, but your unconscious mind is holding you back out of fear or doubt. By acknowledging both the desire for growth and the fear of failure, you can create space for a deeper understanding of what's truly driving your behavior. This, in turn, allows you to find new ways of moving forward that honor both your aspirations and your emotional needs. Another key principle in the individuation process is the importance of creativity and imagination. Jung believed that creativity is a natural expression of the unconscious mind and a powerful tool for self-discovery. Whether through art, writing, music, or any other creative outlet, engaging with your imagination allows you to access parts of yourself that might otherwise remain hidden. It's a way of giving form to the unconscious and bringing its insights into the light of consciousness. For example, if you're struggling with self-sabotage in a particular area of your life, you might try using creative expression to explore what's going on beneath the surface. You could draw a picture of what your fear looks like, write a story about the part of yourself that's holding you back, or even engage in a dialogue with your inner critic through journaling. These creative exercises allow you to interact with the unconscious in a more direct and intuitive way, often revealing insights that can't be accessed through logical analysis alone. Jung also stressed the importance of connection to something greater than the self, what he referred to as the self, with a capital S. The self, in Jungian psychology, represents the totality of the psyche, both conscious and unconscious. It's the center of your being and the source of your inner wisdom. By connecting with the self, you gain access to a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in life. This connection often comes through practices like meditation, contemplation, or engagement with symbols and archetypes that resonate with your unconscious mind. As you continue to do the work of integrating the shadow and overcoming self-sabotage, it's essential to cultivate this connection to the self. This can be done through regular introspection, mindfulness practices, or engaging with spiritual traditions that resonate with you. The goal is not to bypass the challenges of life, but to face them with a deeper sense of inner peace and purpose. When you're aligned with the self, you're better able to navigate life's ups and downs without being derailed by unconscious fears or self-sabotaging behaviors. So, where does this leave us? We've explored the unconscious mind, the shadow, and the complexes that contribute to self-sabotage. We've discussed practical strategies for confronting these unconscious forces and breaking free from their influence. And now we've touched on the deeper spiritual dimension of Jung's work, the process of individuation and the importance of connecting with the self. The journey to overcoming self-sabotage is not a linear one. It's a process that requires ongoing self-awareness, courage, and commitment to personal growth. But it's also a deeply rewarding journey. As you become more conscious of your inner world and begin to integrate the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding or rejecting, you'll find that you no longer need to sabotage your own efforts. Instead, you'll be able to move through life with greater clarity, confidence, and authenticity. In conclusion, Carl Jung's insights offer a powerful framework for understanding and overcoming self-sabotage. By exploring the unconscious mind, integrating the shadow, and embracing the process of individuation, you can break free from the patterns that have been holding you back and move toward a life that is more aligned with your true self. It's not an easy path, but it's one that leads to profound transformation and a deeper sense of fulfillment. So, as you leave this video, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. Where are you holding yourself back, and what parts of yourself have you been avoiding? What would it look like to face those fears and move forward with greater self-awareness and courage? The answers lie within you, waiting to be uncovered. And as you continue to explore your inner world, remember, the journey toward wholeness is not about perfection, but about embracing all that you are and all that you have the potential to become. The power to overcome self-sabotage and live a more authentic life is within your reach. All it takes is the willingness to look within, confront your shadows, and trust in the process of growth and transformation. And in the end, you might just discover that the person you've been searching for all along is the one you already are, deep inside. Thanks for watching.